and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would take the opportunity to do a "These books will self-destruct in 12 months" video. I've got quite a lot on my shelves that are just sitting there taking up space, and so I'm giving myself that time. I don't really want to get rid of any of them. I think that will be a waste, but if I'm not getting the joy out of them, I'll either give them to a charity shop, give them away to other people, or take them to a local book cycle place where somebody else can get the joy out of them. So without further ado, I'll start with the first one. So you may have seen this one a few times on some of my TBRs. This one's called Fairy Tale of New York by Miranda Dickinson. It's a book fairies box, so people take them out into the community and leave them out for people to read, and then you replace them back and then somebody else takes them. Andy and Sophie found this for me at a park in Widnes and brought it back for me, and I was made up when I got it. It's a romance, a contemporary romance. It's basically set in New York, and it says, for the past 6 years, Rosie has kept her heart under lock and key despite the protest of her closest friends, commitment phobic Ed, unlucky in love Marnie, and the one woman tornado that is Celia. Then a blossoming friendship with hotshot Nate shakes Rosie's resolve at the same time as her brother arrives in the Big Apple hiding a secret. A chance meeting brings Rosie face to face with her past, unravelling the mystery behind her arrival in New York. Rosie is forced to confront questions she's long been trying to ignore, including will she ever get her very own happy ever after. There is no reason why anything about that is putting me off. I just keep putting it on TBRs and not picking it, so that will not be around in 12 months if I haven't read it. The next one is one from my childhood. It's called The Willows in Winter by William Harwood. Somebody bought this for one of my birthdays, maybe like a 7th or an 8th birthday. It's basically a kind of sequel to The Wind in the Willows. I'm really familiar with that story. I was actually a narrator in our school's production of The Wind in the Willows, so I know the first story inside out. So actually, why not reach for this one? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is it's Believeathon in November, so I'm going to try and fit this onto that TBR, and so hopefully that will be one that I won't have to get rid of, and if I like it enough and think Sophie will like it, I'll keep it for her, but otherwise it's going out the house. The next one is Mac the Life by Lee Mack. I'm a massive fan of comedians in general. I've been to see a lot of them live. I haven't seen Lee Mack live, but I like watching him on Would I Lie to You. Last night on the television, me and Andy watched a show where Lee Mack was getting ready for Soccer Aid that's coming up on the 4th of September, so that's this weekend, and really enjoyed it. This was one that a local butcher at the end of our roads during lockdown put like a bookshelf outside and asked people to contribute books, and then they could take ones away, and I picked out this one and I just haven't reached for it. I mean, it will be, when I say out of date, it's about his life, but I think it was, let's have a look when it was published, 2012, so it's not like, it won't be really up to date by the end of it. It'll be up to 2012, but I think I'll like it. I know he grew up in Southport. I worked in Southport for a while, so you know, eager to have a look if it mentions any places that I'm familiar with. So there's just no reason not. I just don't keep reaching for it, but I know I will enjoy it when I finally do. So that's getting added. But again, going out the house if I don't get to it. I won this in a Twitter competition with a pile of books from a publisher's. I'm pretty sure I read every other one, but this is the one that I just don't keep reaching for. It's called Overcoming by Vicky Phelan. Let me have a look. I think it's because it says, when Vicky Phelan delivered an emotionally charged statement from the steps of the forecourts in April 2018, she unearthed the medical and political scandal of our times. It would emerge that, like Vicky, over 220 other women with cervical cancer were not informed that a clinical audit carried out by the National Screening Programme Cervical Check had revised their earlier negative smear tests. In many cases, their cancers could have possibly been preventable. So it's a memoir where she's sharing this story of this life-threatening accident in adulthood through to motherhood, a battle with depression, devastating discovery of avoidable cancer return, and the ensuing events that led the charge for a legal action which made history because she refused to be silenced. An inspiring story of rare resilience and power. It's an account of how one woman can move mountains even when she's fighting for her own life, and of finding happiness and strength in the toughest of times. What's putting me off this is I don't know how it's going to end. I actually haven't looked, so I don't know if this was a terminal cancer diagnosis. Well, like everybody, my family have been touched by cancer, so I find that topic very hard to read about because, you know, it's very challenging thing to go through with family members. And so I keep putting it off because I know how emotional this is going to hit. So, but it does sound like there is positivities in it. You know, she's a really strong woman fighting for this. So if I can, I would like to read this and not send it out the house before I have. But if you have read this and it is uplifting and, you know, there's lots to take from it, please encourage me because it is one I'd like to read, but I don't know if I'm ready for that emotion and I just don't keep reaching for it. So there's that one. Shame on You by Amy Hayden. This was one that I think I got in a book box. I think it was one of the a box of stories ones. Like sent me a mixture. It said, meet Holly, social media sensation, the face of clean eating. Everyone loves her, everyone wants to be her, or do they? When Holly is attacked by a man she's only just met, her life starts to spiral out of control. He seems to know her, but she doesn't know him. Was she targeted because of her online wellness empire, or is there a darker reason behind the attack? But what if Holly isn't who she seems to be? What if she's hiding a secret? What if she's actually living a lie? But surely we all lie a little bit online, don't we? So it does sound quite intriguing. I think it's the cover that puts me off. I wouldn't reach for that in a shop with all that black back. It just looks really sinister. But actually, reading it, it's not what I thought it was. A lot of these, I feel like I've probably just judged the cover and not actually properly read the back in the past. So we'll see how we go with this one. But if you've read any of these and you think I really enjoyed that, or you think I will really enjoy it, let me know in the comments because I might reach for it quicker. So the next one we've got, you do know I like a non-fiction. This one's Why We Dream, the science, creativity and transformative power of dreams. I don't know how to describe it, but sometimes when you look at these books, it's just a lot of research and stuff, and I feel like that's what this is going to be, and I just don't feel like it. So this might be one that I might not even reach for. I might just get rid of. Yeah, it's just going to be a lot of science stuff in there. Students who have nightmares about their exams outperform classmates who don't. Athletes can improve their performance by dreaming about competing. Nightmares may be our body's warning system for physical and mental illness, including cancer, depression and Alzheimer's. Dreams can be powerful tools to help us process the pain of a relationship breakup, the grief of losing a loved one and the trauma after a dramatic event. So this might be one that just goes, because even now I'm thinking I really don't want to read this one. So the next is The Garden of Lost and Found by Harriet Evans. I got this in like a book subscription service. When Liddy was a child or was afraid, she dreamed of her own home hidden away where no one could find her, where she could be safe. Then Ned had brought her here, and for a few years everything had been perfect, utterly perfect. As summer soared into the garden and they faded away again, the silken light of golden September giving itself to the mist and damp of autumn and the darkness of winter, the question that had haunted Liddy kept coming back to her. Do you pay for happiness like that? Perhaps yes, perhaps you do. Not appealing to me. It's quite a chunky one. It seems like it might have quite flowery descriptive writing, which isn't my bag, so this again might be one, that just goes. Then this has been on a couple of TBRs. One Enchanted Evening by Anton Dubeck. I love Strictly Come Dancing. I love Anton. Again, this came in a box of stories box. It's set in 1936 London, around a grand ballroom. Even now, I'm not feeling like it. It's chunky, but the writing's quite big. I lent it to my mum and she started it and she wasn't keen, and that's put me off as well. So again, this might just be one that goes, but we'll see. I do a lot of readathons, so if these fit into certain prompts or in my Scrabble TBR with certain letters, they might go on for that. But just not reading. These are the ones that I'm putting to the bottom. This one is The Joy of Big Knickers by Kate Garroway. Again, The Butchers at the End of the Road. It was one I picked off there. I took the just jacket off because it was a bit minging, so that's why it's like this. This is about looking at like living in your 40s. So I'm 34, but I like looking ahead. and it's saying the joy of big Knickers or learning to love the rest of your life. So it's got the facelift dilemma, the trouble with sugar, got off that sofa, slaying the menopause, sex and swinging from the chandeliers, money, 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 popping your clogs, which is the chapter that I'm probably just going to stick over, and then finding your sparkle. So I just think it might be quite funny, and so it's one that I think. Do you know why I keep putting it off? Because I took the dust cover off. Because that doesn't appeal. Isn't it funny? Do you judge books by the covers? The next one is In the Heart of the Garden by Leah Fleming. I think my mum had finished with this and give it to me. It says Iris Bagshot is taking her evening stroll through the ancient gardens of Friddy's Peace Cottage. The house has been in her family for centuries, but at 85 the time has come to sell her land and downsize. As Iris meanders among the roses past the kitchen garden to the boundary wall beyond, the past unfolds around her. Generations of women have tended this garden, seeking refuge and solace through years of war and hardship, and as she walks through this ancient plot, their voices, their stories are stirred. No, still not appealing. Anything about gardens. I'm not into gardening. I like flowers. If you buy a vase of nice roses and have them around for like a week, that's quite nice. But I'm not interested, so that might be another one that just goes out. I feel less guilty about getting rid of it because it's one my mum's already read and she's just passed on to me, so actually she probably would have just sent it to the charity shop or got rid, so I don't feel as bad getting rid of that one. This is one that I think was at my mum's house at some point. I don't even think she's read it. Betrayed in Cornwall by Janie Bolitho. Painter and photographer Rose Trevelyan is not too concerned when her friend Etta does not turn up at the opening of her exhibition, but when she hears the following day that a young man fell off a cliff in suspicious circumstances, events take a darker turn. The police believe drugs were involved in the death, but Rose knows better. As she starts to make connections with the help of D.I. Jack Pierce, things begin to go terribly wrong. That actually sounds like it could be quite good. It's a small one, so hopefully I will get round to that one. Another box of stories ones, and I haven't had another book box like this since, where you get like 4 books in a box. I think I did it a few times, because I'm just not reading them. And this one I think is a YA murder mystery. 16-year-old AJ Flynn holds a key in his hand. It has his name and date of birth on it, but it's a key to a door that leads to where or when. On the other side of the door is a tumble-down house, a city booming with trade, and a murder mystery that echoes through the centuries. AJ steps through the door and finds himself at the centre of it all. It is London and it is 1830. Life is tough in 1830. Sickness, murder and crime abound, but it's so different from the London of now that AJ and his friends know. AJ needs to find the answers to the mystery and decide where he belongs. I do like murder mysteries. The title puts me off. The Door That Led to Where by Sally Gardner. It doesn't make me feel intrigued. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the cover really. I do like block colours, but I don't like this one, so we'll see with that. This is another one from a book subscription, with like a one-off. I ordered it for like 3 months or something, and I got a different book each month with like different like teas and bookmarks and things. This is Fire and Rain by Diane Chamberlain. It says Valle Rose, a small drought-weary town in southern California, is under destruction from deadly wildfires. In the midst of this crisis rolls a handsome stranger calling himself Jeff Cabrio, who claims he can cure the town's troubles by making it rain. But Cabrio's entrance into the community brings more than just potential rain, and it's not long before the residents' interest turn from the weather to their mysterious neighbour. The tragedy afflicted sculptress Mia Tanner Cabrio nursed old wounds and new loves. The struggling journalist Carmen Perez Cabrio brings the possibility of revitalising her career through uncovering the truth about him. An ex-Major League player, Chris Garrett, is offered the chance to come to terms with the demise of his career as a professional baseball pitcher, as their lives become irrevocably entwined as not long before each is forced to face the ghosts of the past. Not a fan of the cover. That doesn't appeal to me that much. That could be one that just goes. And then The Family by Louise Jensen. I think this one's that Andy's mum bought me just before lockdown. I'm a bit hit and miss with thrillers, but when I get really into them, like obviously I love them. So this one is Laura is grieving after the sudden death of her husband, struggling to cope emotionally and financially. Laura is grateful when a local community, Oakleaf Organics, offer her and her 17-year-old daughter Tilly a home. But as Laura and Tilly settle into life with their new family, sinister things begin to happen. When one of the community dies in suspicious circumstances, Laura wants to leave, but Tilly, enthralled by the charismatic leader Alex, refuses to go. Desperately searching for a way to save her daughter, Laura uncovers a horrifying secret. But Alex and his family aren't the only ones with something to hide. Just as Laura has been digging into their past, they've been digging into hers, and she discovers the terrifying reason they've invited her and Tilly in and why they never let them leave. So it sounds a bit cultish, and just that idea of them not letting them leave, that freaks me out a little bit. So we will see how we go with that one. But I'm glad I even did this and read the backs, because some of them have made me think, oh yeah, I might with that one. So let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 books. So in the next 12 months, definitely want to give this one a go. To be honest, there is quite a few that could just go. That one's a bit more tempting than it was before, considering I don't like the covers. I am really wanting to try this one if I can get over that emotional fear of reading about cancer and all that entails. Definitely want to do this one. There is no reason why I can't do that middle grade in November, and this might be a nice relief from some of the harder hitting books. So yeah, 14 books in 12 months, and I will have to get rid if I don't. There are some others on my book cart that I was considering, but I haven't had them as long as some of these ones, so I thought I'll give them another chance. Like I said, I do a lot of readathons. I do my Scrabble TBR, so there's every chance that those letters or those prompts can come up and fit with those. I really want to stop buying books and read the ones that I've got first. I work in a library. There is no excuse for buying some books when they're on the catalogue and I can get them from there. We all have the same problems when you're on BookTube. Well, not if you're just a reader in general, we've all got the same problems, but if you're on BookTube and you're constantly talking about them and just see other people's books on BookTube, it makes you want to read them as well. So I'm going to try my best. So yeah, self-destruct, 12 months, we'll see how we go. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye.